A priest asked a rabbi, "Tell me, Rabbi, why do you Jews always answer a question with a question?" And the rabbi replied, "Well, why shouldn't we?" Jesus was given to doing that. Questions take us on a journey. I found that growth comes not in the arriving, but in the journeying. Not in finding neat answers, but in the questioning. And I think that's why Jesus so often didn't give those tidy answers. When he was pressed for advice, he would often ask another question, or tell a story, or perhaps say, "Only God, my Father, knows." In the Gospel passage, Jesus asks, "Who do people say I am?" Over time, a surprising number of different answers were given. In today's reading, he's compared to Elijah, John the Baptist, or one of the prophets. Having heard those responses, Jesus redirects the question to his disciples. "But tell me, who do you say I am?" And Peter jumps in and answers, "You're the Messiah." Now, we might expect Jesus to give Peter a gold star for his answer, but no. He orders them not to tell anyone about him. Jesus is the Messiah, but Peter and the others don't know what that really means. Jesus doesn't decline the title of Messiah, but he doesn't want it used about him, at least not yet. Though people will hear it and say, "Aha, we've got the right answer. We know who he is," but they don't. He's the Messiah, but not the Messiah they think of, not the Messiah they want. You see, what they've got in mind is a political figure, a military leader, a Messiah king who will free them from the shackles of Rome's imperialism. But what they've actually got is a man who will suffer and die as a convicted criminal, scorned and rejected by the people. It's natural to want to put God into a box of our making, but God doesn't fit. God can be rather unpredictable. For the first disciples, the surprises Jesus had in store for them were numerous, none more so than the nature of his messiahship. He tried to explain it. He told them that he'd suffer many terrible things and be rejected by the religious people and clergy. He'd be killed, but 3 days later would rise from the dead. This shattered all their expectations. And Peter, he just couldn't cope with it, and tells Jesus he's got it all wrong. But Jesus rebukes Peter. "Get away from me, Satan. You're seeing things merely from a human point of view, not from God's." Jesus is telling Peter and us, don't work in human categories. Don't try to tie me down. I do things my way, not yours. And my way is to suffer and to die. And if you want to follow me, then you also need to experience something of that. This is how he puts it. "If any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross and follow me." If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake and for the sake of the good news, you will save it. Now, what might that mean? Instead of giving us that tidy answer, Jesus simply says, "Follow me. Have a relationship with me." And it's a relationship that demands something of us. I think the Message, in its paraphrase of this passage, puts a very challenging spin on Jesus' comment. Jesus says, "Anyone who intends to come with me must let me lead. You're not in the driver's seat, I am. Don't run from suffering. Embrace it. Follow me and I'll show you how." Following Jesus involves what some translations interpreted self-denial, Now, self-denial isn't about self-destruction. It's about letting go of what gets in the way of reflecting the Christ life that prevents Christ from taking the driver's seat. And yes, it's a paradox. By denying an element of ourselves and letting it die, by losing it, something greater and more beautiful is given life within us. It's what Paul meant when he wrote, "It's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me." That's a challenge I face every day. And I've found that it's when I face the tough stuff that life throws at us and don't run away from it, but seek God in the middle of it, I discover the Christ life in a new way. I'm very mindful that many of us are facing tough stuff at present, and there aren't going to be neat answers. My hope is that as we live with these questions, we'll somehow find God in a new way. And as we do so, I wonder how we might respond to that question Jesus posed. Who do you say that I am? Our response may well change over time. But as we work with that question, I think Jesus is inviting us into a lifelong conversation, to hear his questions and to offer him ours, to allow him to take the lead role in our lives and to invite him to shape us so that we gradually become more like him.